It is Monday, the 30th day of December, 2024. Um, one of the best humans, in my opinion, of modern society, decided to exit stage left yesterday as Lieutenant James Earl Carter Jr. passed away at the ripe old age of 100. President Carter was simply a great human being. Now, exemplary in most every way in a world where not everyone is special. In fact, 99.99% of people who've ever existed have literally done just that, existed. People who make actual impacts are few, and those that make impacts on things that help to advance society as a whole or protect society in some ways are even fewer. And there are fewer people who simply cared more for others than Jimmy Carter did. If you want to say he was a bad president, I mean, then I can't like sit here and have that argument because it's not something that one I wasn't there. I mean, I was there. I don't remember it because I was a baby. But I mean, looking things over, just looking at the timeline first and foremost. I mean, he had to deal with the fallout from Watergate, Richard Nixon, and Gerald Ford being a doofus. Um, so he was handed a load of shit and managed to not drag us into war, which should be looked upon as a positive, even though the guy that, was elected after him was a fucking snake. And, so much has come out since then um, about all the dirty, underhanded things that he did to get elected, but that's a conversation for another day. The Soviets were shit. The Iranians were shit. Shout out again to Ronald Reagan for that part. Ted Kennedy was shit. And Jimmy's own brother was a fucking moron. So it was a struggle on so many fronts, and he didn't have the support of his own party, half of his own party, for much of his administration. Yet made certain to do things his own way. He marched to the beat of his own drum. He held fast to his morals and he held fast to his beliefs, even if some of those beliefs were just kind of, in my opinion, somewhat short-sighted. He was a very religious man, but that's what Jimmy Carter was. He eliminated a lot of the pomp and circumstances in office. So, I mean, the playing of Hail to the Chief, that didn't happen. It happened a few times when he was elected, and then he told them to stop playing it because he didn't care for it. He was painfully simple. I mean, he was a legitimate dirt farmer, but he was also a fucking nuclear engineer, having served on nuclear submarines while he was in the Navy. Very, very interesting man. Was he perfect? Hardly. But he worked hard to find peace throughout the world, and he also tried like hell to work with Ted Kennedy on universal health care, but fucking Ted Kennedy was an egomaniac, so that wasn't going to happen. There were a whole lot of things that Carter did, and it was he was simply one of our best human beings who wanted way too much from people and thought way too much of people. And the I don't want to say the vast majority, but a majority of those people simply didn't want to give. So, his efforts to find peace in numerous places throughout the world fell on deaf ears, unfortunately. And in some instances, it did work. I mean, Israel and Egypt were peaceful for a couple of decades after Camp David. He tried to negotiate peace with the North Koreans after he left office. I mean, so there was a lot of different things there that he tried to do. But I think ultimately what he tried to do was almost too much. He tried to be, uh, he tried to make the United States more than it could actually be and more than it actually wanted to be, as evidenced by his defeat to Ronald Reagan, where he got absolutely fucking trounced. The world is worse off without him, and hopefully at some point he'll be remembered. Um, More so than he is by just a select few, but by the world at large, because he deserves it. He was a good man. This week I'll talk about the year that was. Talk about President Musk. Talk about the Patriots. Maybe we'll get into West Ham and soccer, snack foods, and then the triumphant return of one of our very best complainers. All that and more on episode 171 of Clayton Observations.
Still, a voyage into the mundane and an exercise in futility. Swimming in the absurd while drowning in unearned self-importance. Entirely unworthy of your time. It is the world's worst podcast. This is Complaints and Observations with Dave LaPointe. Who the hell is Dave LaPointe?
I think he's a bum. I think he's an absolute bum.
Hello, how we doing? Good. Glad to hear that. Terrific. Hopefully you had a wonderful Christmas holiday if you celebrate. Hopefully, if you celebrate Hanukkah, that has been going well for you. Also, if you celebrate both, well, cool. I'm finding, as much as I love talking into a microphone, I'm finding this becoming a bit tedious again, and this is what I feared. Mainly because I'm tired, and I almost feel as if on occasion talking into this microphone and recording this bullshit is almost therapeutic in some way for, just generally being blah most of the time. And today is one of those days where I just am not feeling great mentally. And I think a lot of it has to do with just work and my general physical health more than anything else. But, I'm choosing to use this today is kind of just a bit of a distraction and outlet. Maybe try to get a chuckle or two. But I mean, if you don't care for these episodes where I just talk about nothing and it's well, I shouldn't say that. Every episode I do, I talk about nothing to no one but myself. It's funny because I had asked, if somebody wanted to be a co-host or anything like that, and then I'm like, if I had a co-host, right, I would need someone to be a fucking taskmaster, not just a co-host. And every now and again, I'll meet somebody and be like, "Wow, you'd be great to talk to on a regular basis." And then I remember, okay, yeah, but you don't want to subject that person to your talking to on a regular basis. Am I spitting that out correctly? Here's the other thing. I just know for a fact that today is going to be horrible vocally, stammering, stuttering, uh, and just a lot of that crap, a lot of the ums and ahs. You're going to get a bunch of that shit. So again, this could be one of those episodes where nobody fucking listens, but I'm giving you fair warning. Fair warning. Anyways, hopefully you had a great weekend. My weekend was pretty good. The triumphant return of Santa Dave this past Saturday. It had been, I want to say, about 8 or 9 years since I had donned the old red and white and greeted small children. And it's odd how I don't really care for kids in general, yet for some weird reason, the Santa Claus bit has always been enjoyable, and I do genuinely like doing it. It's short, it's sweet. You wave, you kind of you trick the kids into thinking that you're actually Santa Claus, which is always fun. So that was good. Went to the casino on Sunday. That was good. I walked out of there with plus money, which is a rarity for someone who has retired from gambling. But what sucked? There were two things that sucked over the weekend. One, the Patriots on Saturday got absolutely fucking boat raced. It was gross, and it's to be expected at this point. Yeah. And because the thing was flexed to Saturday, we ended up giving up our tickets to somebody, a family of four. And quite frankly, I feel awful. If that was their first exposure to Patriots football, or maybe they were Chargers fans, and if that was the case, well then good. You saw a good product. Every time I think they're okay, in spite of their god awful record, they go out and lay a fucking egg. I mean, the game against Buffalo, they should have won. There's a handful of mistakes. But again, mistakes that are fixable. Now, are they fixable now? No. But are they fixable ultimately? Yes. They're mental mistakes. They're tiny things. They can be fixed with time and with better talent. But this thing was just, and thankfully I didn't get to watch a ton of it, but none of it looked good. And so, you had Drake May kind of get his bell rung again, which is concerning that it happened again. So what's this now? Like the third time, fourth time maybe that he's kind of been evaluated for a concussion. Once he was taken out, and another time held out, and just like this one today or yesterday, or Saturday. Held out for a bit, and then the coach put him back in. And part of it is the kid probably saying, "Yeah, I'm good. I can go back in." And what you need to do is stop that. Like, he needs to know better than to listen to this fucking 21-year-old kid when he says he's okay, because he probably isn't. But whatever, he's a tough kid. I just hope that he doesn't get to the point where he gets smashed in the head. And now I have a feeling there's a fucking target on him, because I mean the tackle on Saturday was clear fucking penalty, but there was no flag. I mean, as obvious a helmet to helmet hit as you can get. But they didn't call it, because why would they? Right? Right? Why would you do that? That would require effort on the part of the NFL officials. So that was disappointing. However, the Giants won, so now the Patriots are sitting currently with 1 week to go, the number one draft pick. So it'll be interesting to talk about, figure out the various machinations of what they can do. And they most certainly should trade down. Somebody might want to come up and draft a quarterback. Let them take everything you can. First round picks, second round picks, whatever. You need quantity of draft picks, and then hope that those lottery tickets pan out, because that's how it works. On the flip side, well, not really the flip side, but on the same side of the coin, West Ham went out and played Liverpool yesterday, and also got positively boat raced. Got trounced 5-0, which was my prediction for the game was a 4-1 loss. And that one would have been okay. Let's look at it as positive that you scored a goal against the team that is clearly head shoulders, as of today, the best team in the Premier League. But nope, they went out and did next to nothing for 90 minutes. Next to nothing. There was a couple of instances where, like Kudus hit a post early. I think Jared Bowen probably missed a ball where he could have scored. I mean, look, there was a couple of brief opportunities. I mean, I can't call him a manager, because he's not a manager. He's the head coach. He needs to go. And I hate to be so reactionary when you're only halfway through the season, but it's just so painfully evident that nothing this guy is doing, which is very little in my opinion, works. So to give him more time is to just simply tread water and hope that you don't lose a bunch in a row, and then have to fire the guy. Because I mean, let's figure it out, right? If they lose the next three matches, which is entirely possible, which is I'm fairly certain we're talking City, Arsenal, Chelsea, like they're in there in the next 4 or 5 matches. They lose 3 in a row. Now you're in a position where you're kind of regressing towards the relegation zone. And if you have to fucking fight to stay up with this bunch of bums that you have right now, it's not going to. I can't blame the players too much, but there's just so much that you need. You need another center back. You need another midfielder, a defensive midfielder who can move up, down, box to box. You need. I hate to say it, you need another Declan Rice. I mean, you need something. You need more. And in what he's doing, Lopetegui, what he's doing is not working. So you need everything I've read is that Graham Potter is sort of just waiting in the wings. I'm not really thrilled with Graham Potter because I have a feeling, I don't know, if he can come in and just replicate what David Moyes did, that would be terrific. But I'm not really counting on it. They shouldn't have let Moyes go. But you had too many fucking supporters screaming about how the football wasn't exciting enough, blah blah blah. Fuck off. Fuck off. You knew what you were going to get from him every week. You knew what the structure was. You knew what the identity was. You tried to be hard to play against and counterattack. Like, that's David Moyes football. And you know what? It worked. It worked. We won a fucking trophy for Christ's sake. But nope. Nope. You had too many supporters screaming and yelling. It's fucking foolish and it's annoying. And I just ranted about for however many minutes. Sorry. And then there's the 2024 year in review. I had nothing prepared for this, and honestly, the only reason I kind of thought or realized that, oh shit, it's the year in review, was a friend of the show, Jacques, sent a message about his podcast, which is Carnival Personnel. Check it out; it's always very good. If you like local comedy, Jacques being a what's the right word? Comedian. That's it. He always has some just terrific guests on that are in the local comedy scene. So check that out. Usually funny. Usually. But he mentioned that they did their 2024 year in review. I'm like, oh man, I didn't prepare anything. And so here is the off the cuff 2024 year in review. Most of it was just okay. Some of it was awful, and a handful of things were terrific. And there's 2024 year in review. All right, so I am thinking, a couple of things. As I've mentioned, I really didn't want to get political again. It's impossible not to. Impossible. And of course, I started the show talking about Jimmy Carter, but I mean, it had less to do with his actual politics and his presidency than just the fact that he was a genuinely good human. But now, and I've made this crack a couple of times in previous episodes about how, the country is becoming an oligarchy as opposed to the, constitutional republic or whatever it is, more or less a democracy. It's becoming an oligarchy, and it's no more evident than it has been over the course of the last week plus or so, where our friend Elon Musk, socially awkward, um, you know, definitely on the spectrum somewhere, which isn't the worst thing in the world, but for this guy, it is. He's just he's basically, talking to members of Congress, talking to the speaker, telling him, not to vote for certain things, talking about, maneuvering, taking things out of a potential bill to keep the government running. One of which was, removing funding for children's cancer research. Because, why? Why would you do that? Why would you need money for that? Oh, I know, because you're a fucking piece of shit. And because you want people to talk about you. And I'm certain of it that he just fucking gets off on people, posting about him, talking about him, know nothing podcasters bringing up his name. I'm certain that he gets a fucking erection from that shit. And that's why he does it. You want to know why? Because he's a fucking weird dude. Flat out sociopathic weirdo. That's it. But now, him and Donald Trump are getting all fucking butthurt because people are making cracks about it being President Musk and his VP, Donald Trump, which is quite frankly hilarious on a handful of levels. One, that's kind of where things are going. And the thing that kills me is like, where's JD Vance in all this? Oh, I know. He's sitting in the corner, like coloring, because he's also a fucking idiot. The things that Trump is talking about and things that Trump has been saying of late leads me to believe that the Russians and Putin have come back trying to collect on some of their past debts. If you're not familiar, a lot of our president-elect's wealth in the mid '80s came from loans made by the Russian government through a variety of different channels. Now, that's alleged. Of course, it's alleged. However, when he starts talking about Greenland and he starts talking about the Panama Canal, those are dead giveaways because the Russians can't travel from point A to point B in certain parts of the world, including the Arctic, where there's a lot of oil. And so, he's simply just looking for a way to, sort of pay back the Russians by opening up some, some places that they can freely drill for oil, and then offer up use of the Panama Canal, which they're not able to use, so that they can transport those things to different parts of the world and make a shit ton of money. And why? Why would that be? Well, because, he's in debt up to his eyeballs to these people. That's alleged, of course. But, the US should just annex or just buy Greenland. Like, how fucking stupid. And here's the problem, right? There's no way in hell he knew that Greenland was property of Denmark. He had no clue. Zero. So, I mean, I guess I can't fault him because he's an idiot and didn't know that. The best part about the whole thing is that Denmark came back and said that they might try to buy the United States and turn it into an actual functioning country. Which, on one hand, was funny. On another hand, again, totally embarrassing. And now you have a number of different countries and governments coming out and just saying, how they don't really particularly care for our incoming president. And it'll be curious to see how this progresses because you have guys like Elon Musk and his Department of Government Excess or whatever he's calling it, the super clever Doge name because so brilliant, you're so smart. Oh, I can't believe it all. Him and Vivek Ramaswamy, who's another fucking butt boy. You just have two. Actually, you got so many of these fucking people with their hands so far up, the president's ass. For what? What is your gain? What is the end game for you? What are you trying to achieve? Oh, that's right. You want to be president. And that's what he's angling for, Elon. That's an absolute 1000% given. And you watch, you'll start to hear rumblings about, changing the Constitution to have people who weren't, born in America become president of the United States. It's a given. It's coming. So keep your eyes and ears open for that fucking shit. They're already backtracking on some of their, immigration stances where the H-1B visas are very important to companies like Tesla, SpaceX, etc., where you need, foreign labor, quote unquote, to come in and work in some of these industries. But, that's not what they said they were going to do. Immigration was going to take a hit. They were going to remove immigrants. That's what they said. But now they're backtracking. And this is what's going to happen. And I called it from the jump. These fucking idiots, the fight is going to come from the inside. It's not going to have anything to do with the Democrats because they're going to just sit back and point fingers and make bad jokes. But now you have Elon, blocking people on Twitter. Some of these MAGA types like Laura Loomer. And then, posting shit from his fucking burner account. The man has multiple burner accounts on a platform that he owns. How fucking pathetic is that? Like, why do you need that? Again, because you get off on shit like that, because you're a fucking crazy person. So fucking stupid. It's stupid that we have to sit and deal with this crap. You still have a lot of people say, oh, well, he's your president. Is he? If he is, that's how that works. He's elected. Now he gets to be president. Elon, however, was not elected. He doesn't get to be president. But again, he's going to have way more influence than he should, and the oligarchy is going to come to pass. Which isn't what we want. We shouldn't want that. However, we bend down and get fucked. Bend down. Bend over and get fucked by billionaires constantly on a daily basis. We take it every single fucking day. Yet, Luigi is going to come up on a terrorism charge because he killed a fucking CEO. I can't. I can't. It's just so fucking frustrating. Why would you want to? I don't understand people who want to willingly live under the thumb of an oligarch. Like, for what? What do you gain? What do you gain from that? You're not getting a piece of that pie, ma'am, sir. You're not. You're never going to be rich enough to be in that club. Yet, if you are, and you're not. If it makes you feel better, that's great. I'm happy for you, legitimately. If it makes you feel better. I don't fucking get it. It's entirely lost on me, but apparently that makes me different. So, yeah. Anyways. All right, I'm thrilled to have two brand new complaints from friend of the show, Heather, who is without a doubt the best complainer that we have on the program. I say we when it's literally just I. Go figure. Anyways, here is voicemail number 1.
Hey, Dave. It's Heather. I'm back and listening. It's been a bit. I listened to your first episode of you coming back, and then I kind of fell out of it again because it's just life, and now I'm back listening. Johnny resent me this phone line, which is amazing because I now have to replace the old phone line. And I heard that you gave me that shout out for the phone message I left back in 2023. But what's crazy is I feel like I left like 4 or 5 other ones. I don't know if they got lost in the system or I don't know, maybe I just imagined and daydreamed, thought I was just leaving you voicemails all year, but anyways, I'm calling this time to complain about something new going on. So this actually led to a little relationship drama, but did you know in an iPhone, I'm sure you know because you're a man, that there is an album called Hidden Photos. And I was just trying to send myself photos, and all of a sudden there's an album that Apple made, and it's called Hidden Photos. I'm sorry, but if you're going to name something Hidden Photos, it's not very hidden, right? Like, I didn't really have to do much work to, like, open this hidden album. And then out of curiosity, I'm like, what's in here? And of course, it's, all the OnlyFans and all that kind of stuff, just like naked girls, whatever, which that's a whole nother complaint. But anyways, like, don't you think they could have come up with a better name or a better way to just, like, put it in a different category instead of, like, under your favorites album, right, that you hearted, below that is hidden album. So just let me know your thoughts. I know I'm sounding a little crazy girlfriend over here, but, yeah, that was just a little wild trip for me to realize. I told my therapist about it, and then my therapist pulled out her phone in the middle of the session. She goes, oh, shit, I need to check my husband's. I didn't know this existed. So I think us girls need to really band together and look at these albums. All right, let me know your thoughts. Good to hear from you, Dave.
Wow, there was a lot going on there. First and foremost, again, thank you, Heather, as always, for complaining. It is very much appreciated. Second, no, you must have been dreaming because I literally only had that one. That was the only one that I received, and it's the reason I played it. So yeah, you clearly are like dreaming of leaving complaint-laden voicemails, and so you might want to talk to your therapist about that. That's a bit strange. Also, this is news to me. Mainly because I don't own an iPhone. I've never had an iPhone, so I don't know the various workings of an iPhone. Okay, that's fucking weird. I resent the point where you like, oh, you must know this because you're a guy. I mean, what the fuck? I mean, that's fair, but it's a generalization that I don't stand behind, and I won't stand for it either. But I'm still a bit confused about the Hidden Photos album. It just sits there called Hidden Photos. Who you can't hide something if it's in plain sight, right? It kind of defeats the purpose of that. You mean you're not hiding anything, and wouldn't you just move it around, like move your folder around and put it under different things, call it something different. So here's a tip for guys with iPhones: try to find this Hidden Photos album, see what the fuck is in it. If you're adding things to it, you're a fucking creep. Like, what are you afraid of, right? Like, what are you putting in there? You putting nudes? If you're getting nudes, here's another thing too, because I've never encountered this problem literally ever in my life. I have never once had a woman send me a photograph of herself where she was at all naked or at all compromised, anything. So that's another thing. I literally have no idea what that's like. Okay? And so it's not a problem that I would ever encounter. And if I had, you know what the last place I'm going to put one of those pictures in? A folder called Hidden Photos. What the fuck? What? So if you're a guy and you got a bunch of that shit in your Hidden Folders album, you're a fucking moron. But then again, you're a guy, so you probably are a fucking moron. Like, just leave that shit in your phone. Just leave it. What's the big fucking deal? Oh, you're a straight guy? Unless, of course, you're married or in a relationship and there's somebody who you're conversing with, and this somebody is sending you numerous nude photos. Or any, you know what? Any nude photos. If you're just like liking shit on Instagram, or maybe you're just a creep, a weird creep, and you like to put like porn videos that you download from Pornhub or X videos or wherever these days into your hidden photos folder. That's weird. But I mean, it's just, it doesn't make a fucking lick of sense. And then to have your significant other like ask you about your hidden photos album. Excuse me. I'm going to need to see your phone so I can look at your hidden photos. And you'd be like, whoa, whoa, whoa. What do you need to look at that for? Okay, now just that answer, you've opened up the can of worms. The response should be, sure, go ahead. There's nothing in it. Or you could just go in and delete the fucking thing. But instead, you have something called hidden photos. Like, what the fuck? And then to have the conversation with the therapist, like she said at the end, you know, in the middle of the session, oh shit, I need to talk to my husband. Well, therapist, perhaps you should find a therapist to deal with your husband. I don't fucking know, but I don't know what I'm saying. But honestly, what the fuck? This is another one of these reasons why technology is so fucking stupid. And part of it is because humans are fucking dumb. God, like that's so stupid. In God, like Heather, I don't think you're a crazy girlfriend for that. I don't. It just tells me that there could be some other issues going on with this relationship that you had to immediately, you freak out about the Hidden Folders album. I don't know. I hope that's not the case, and if it is, I'm terribly sorry. Airing your dirty laundry on a fucking shitty podcast that nobody listens to, except for you and Donnie, apparently. Even though you listened to the first one and then you bailed out. I listened to the first episode of you back, and then I stopped. That plays, that tracks, but love it. Anyways, yeah, that was a good one. I liked that one. Thank you, as always. But, you almost need a follow-up on that one, right? Because there has to be more to that than the way that ended. And I'd be curious if there's any mention of it in the second voicemail that she left.
Hi, Dave. It's Heather again. Back-to-back voicemails. I'm just calling because today is Christmas Eve, and I don't know if you know, but I'm a physical therapist. So, work in healthcare, we're open. We shouldn't be open. No one's going to die from not having PT one day. So, anyways, what I'm calling about is that it's that when patients tell me, oh my God, I can't believe you have to work on Christmas Eve. Yet, they're there for their 10 a.m. appointment, looking me in the eyes and have the audacity to say that. And I want to be like, bitch, if you didn't schedule this appointment, I wouldn't be here. Like, you were the reason I'm here. And so it just infuriates me. So, like, I want to hear your thoughts if you feel like you've ever said this to somebody. Like, if you go, even like anything, like Dunkin' Donuts on Christmas Day, like, don't go get a coffee. If they're dead, they'll close. Like, don't go, And I just think if as a society we supported that, none of us would have to work on these holidays. All right, let me know your thoughts.
Well, we didn't get an update on the Hidden Photos album. Maybe that'll come next week. However, she does make a great point. And it happened to me on Christmas Eve as well, where I had a scheduled call with two clients, and they asked for that day. They asked for 10 a.m. Mountain Time, Christmas Eve, to have a conversation. And I was working that day, so I was like, all right, fine, that I guess that works. And then the beginning of the call, oh, I can't believe you're working Christmas Eve. Well, if you didn't ask for this, I wouldn't have to be working. I probably could have taken the day off. But nope. I had to be in for this 10 a.m. Mountain Time phone call. I don't disagree with that at all. However, when I was driving on Christmas Day down to my brother's place, we're driving down a busy thoroughfare. And there's a Dunkin' Donuts with a mile-long line on Christmas Day. Probably about, I'd say, I don't know, 11:30. So it's not even like, crazy early. But, why? What are you doing? I agree totally. One, you shouldn't be at Dunkin' Donuts anyway because it fucking blows. That's problem one. Problem two, unless you go to that window, right? Let's say you go to the drive-through window and you hand them like a $20 bill, cash tip, right? That's the only way I'm letting you get off with this because you shouldn't be doing it. Heather is 1,000% right. The audacity to look me in the eye and say, I can't believe you have to work on Christmas Eve, yet here you are for your 10 a.m. appointment. I wouldn't be here, bitch. That's harsh. Somebody might die if they don't get PT one day. I don't know. I don't know how that shit works. I have no clue. But she's right. If we just, but again, that would require society to be forward thinking and have some empathy, which they do not. So, fuck you and your Dunkin' Donuts employees. I'm going to order a fucking large regular or large fucking large hazelnut, extra, extra, which is just the shittiest fuck. Anybody who fucking orders coffee anywhere and it comes out white, fuck off. Like, stop. Just open a bag of sugar, stuff your face in it, and call it a day. Like, just cut out the whole liquid part, the coffee part. You don't need it. Just in a bowl, take 2 cups of sugar and then add a gallon of fucking heavy cream and just go to town, you fucking sow. Oh, God. But yes, that is accurate. I still want a follow-up on the hidden photos, because now I'm curious. So, Heather, if you're actually listening to this one, which I would love a follow-up on that. However, I will take all the complaints that you have, 617-804-1557. And again, I'm sorry I changed the number, but that's Google's fault. Blame them. 617-804-1557. If you haven't called in, you should call in and complain about fucking anything and everything. Do your civic duty and call in. Yeah? Yeah. All right, it is time for the best part of the program, the very end. And also 3 gripes. Before I get to 3 gripes, though, I want to send a congratulations and a shout out to Scott, friend of the show, who made a hilarious purchase over the weekend by purchasing a replica of the old, giant, the big gold WCW Flair era belt. It's fucking absurd, and it's great all at the same time. So I love it. Shout out, Scott. Nicely done. Anyways, 3 gripes. Gripe number 1, urinals. Guys, the place where you put your piss is actually in the contraption that's in front of you. The porcelain contraption. That's where your piss goes. Not at your fucking feet. I'm just so fucking sick and tired of standing in a puddle every single time I use a public restroom. Like, Can you fucking Neanderthals not piss right? Like, what the fuck are you guys doing? If you can't fucking piss in a urinal, don't use one. I would love some sort of weird punishment for people who piss all over the floor. And I think part of the reason is you have too many fucking dummies that go into the bathroom, into the urinal, and are looking at their fucking phone while they're taking a piss. Put the fucking phone down. Shit for brains. I don't want to stand in your fucking piss. I don't want to walk around with fucking piss covered bottom of my shoes because you're too much of a fucking animal to use a restroom. Like, does that make me abnormal to feel this way? I don't particularly give a fuck because there's no logical reason for it. Like, unless you're an elderly man and have an issue, which in most cases those guys are using the stall because they, instead of standing in front of the urinal for 10 minutes, they go to the fucking stall and stand in there for 10 minutes, which is acceptable. Even though if for whatever reason you needed to use that and you piss all over the floor there, I just don't understand why there's so much fucking piss on the floor. Like, can we not fucking have that? Like, think about this, okay? This is not. I am not being reactionary here. And I refuse to accept anyone who says otherwise because it's just simply not accurate. I am not out of line here. It's just fucking disgusting. Let's be fair. Let's be honest. It's fucking gross. Stop doing it. It's bad enough that I have to use a public restroom because I have to take a leak. But no matter where it, and here's the all right, time out. Here's the other thing. There are some places where I half accept it. For example, South Station in Boston. And the only reason it popped into my head is because the fucking train just went by and I could hear it. South Station's gross. Like, it's disgusting. So when I walk into that bath, and believe me, you have no idea how hard I try to not use that bathroom. But there are some times when I just have to. And every time you go into that, it's Moss Isley times a billion. It's fucking gross in there. And it's not even the fault of some of the people that use it because some of them are just not in the right frame of mind. Uh, they're usually homeless. Not all, but it's used by commuters often, but it's also used by transients, drug addicts, etc., etc., etc. So I go in there knowing full well that it's gonna fucking reek of God knows what, and that the floor is gonna be covered in piss. I've accepted that. I'm literally going in there to relieve myself and immediately leave. I'm not even gonna stand to wash my hands. Sorry, not gonna do it. One, because all I'm doing is taking a leak. I'm not fucking pissing on my hands. I'm not shitting on my hands. I'm touching my own clean unit. Penis. I said penis in the podcast. And I'm not immediately going out and fucking glad handing people at South Station. So if I have to take a piss, I'll take a piss. And if something does happen, God forbid, I have hand sanitizer to use. Because I do not want to stand in that fucking bathroom for any longer than I need to. The piss on the floor there, acceptable. Any place else, unacceptable. Learn to piss, you fucking ignoramuses. Right number 2, horse riding or horseback riding. Quite frankly, they're one and the same, but the term horseback riding, the more I've heard it used, and this is another one of those terms that only Americans use, apparently. And I've learned that my friends in the UK and my friends in Australia and New Zealand, they don't use the term horseback riding. They use the term horse riding, which is literal. God forbid, right? Um, I had a conversation the other day with a client, and somebody asked, if I've rode a horse lately. And immediately I said, well, no, I'm a middle-aged man. What makes you think I've ridden a horse? I live south of Boston. Granted, it's it's a lot of farmland around me, but we don't have cowboys per se, so we don't have the readily available horses for middle-aged men to ride. But then I mentioned, I'm like, an actual benefit of being obese is that I'm never expected to ride a horse, right? Why would I put that undue stress on this animal? Granted, a lot of them are bred to do work, but not that kind of work. No horse wants a fat, old, middle-aged man on their back for an extended period of time. And I'm choosing to make that assumption on the behalf of the equine population, which I think is accurate. And I think I used that term correctly. See that? I'm thinking of horses. I'm that kind of guy. I'm a nice guy. Which leads me to gripe number 3, resolutions. It's that time of year, folks, where people make resolutions. The gym gets full. I say that as somebody who has a gym membership but hasn't used it in months. And guess what? I'm going to use it. I say that, but here's a word of advice. You do not need to turn the calendar to stay exactly the same way that you already are. So by all means, neglect everything that you think that you want to change about yourself and stay miserable like the rest of us. Like, fucking ain't right. I'm going to try to tell myself I'm going to exercise or lose weight or not be such a miserable wretch or just be a generally better person, even though I'm a great person and I defy anyone who says otherwise. I'm a tremendous individual. But in the end, look, that's sure as shit. None of that stuff is going to happen, so why fight it? Right? Well, because you need to be. You do not need to make a New Year's resolution. Like, that shouldn't be a thing. It should just be your well, that defeats. I was going to say you're using the new year as an excuse to start something, but that's a resolution. Whether you call it that or not, that's exactly what it is. So don't do that. If you feel today or whenever you happen to get around to listening to this trash that you need to make a change in your life, just do it. Just do it. Take the advice of one Phil Knight, who apparently paid some woman very little money to come up with that phrase, and then eventually gave her Nike stock when he realized the error of his ways, which, quite frankly, is a pretty good story. Anyways, just do it. You do not need to make a resolution. And you know what else? And you know what you really don't fucking need? You don't need to post that post. You don't need to post that all over social media. I do not need to see your resolutions. Why am I sounding Canadian at the end of this fucking thing? I think the caffeine that I've drank to try to stay awake is kicking in, and now it's making me slur even worse than usual. Um, I hope to be back next week. We'll fucking see. I'm never sure of how the day is gonna go. Today went okay, and I was able to end work, and then I ran out to the grocery store, and then by the time I got home, I'm like, you know what? I still want to do this, so I'm gonna do it. Sure enough, motherfucker, I actually did it, and I'm happy because um, it's therapeutic, right? Maybe I should go see a therapist like Heather, and then talk about talk about photographs that are on my significant other's phone. In a way, and it's so fucking great. I love that. But we'll see. Again, audience of one, and it is what it is. But look, if you want to join the show, feel free to call 617-804-1557. If you want to be on the show, just ask. We'll figure something out. If you I don't know. I don't know anything. I have an Instagram page at Complaints Pod. With a Facebook page, but fuck Facebook. I have a Threads, which is also at Complaints Pod. I am on X, but honestly, I don't really use it much anymore. I just find, again, it has become so tedious and awful and full of. It's the ads that have killed it more than anything. I mean, granted, the bullshit is one thing, but it's the ads. Oof. And no, I'm not paying you, Elon. Elon. What else do I have? I don't know. I don't know what I have. If I only had a brain, but I don't. Well, listen, enjoy your New Year's holiday. Make good choices, please. Don't do anything stupid, which I'm sure, you and maybe not you specific, but a lot of people will probably make. Drive safely, I implore you. If you're too drunk, don't drive. Uber is going to cost you a shit ton of money, but still, it's better than getting into an accident and potentially causing someone else bodily harm. So don't do it. As usual, I ask, please tell your friends about this program. It would be nice to have a handful of other listeners other than just myself and Donnie and Heather, apparently. But yeah, thank you as always. I appreciate it. Hopefully, your 2025 is just fucking terrific. Take care of yourself, take care of each other. Godspeed, and ta ta.